And good evening, Star Wars fans. Coming to you live this Wednesday, July 21st. It's another episode of Holotheatre. As always, I'm Dan Tortag Leone, also known as D Tortag1. Thankfully, my voice is a little bit better after Sunday. Joining me tonight is my co-host, is Mr. Justin Miyashiro, also known as JagTech slash Hazardville for some reason. And the guy to, my left, if you don't recognize him at this point, the you're not following Star Wars at any capacity because it's getting old, Joe. It really is. Three majors in a row, like
Something like that.
something like that. So, yep, we're talking with our guest host tonight is Joe Olson. Joe, who took down what was it, 47 people at nationals this past weekend to come out on top of the world. So, yeah, first of all, let's go with the congratulations as always, Joe. Again, I'm getting a little tired of saying congratulations to you, man, but at the same time, I'm not. Uh, but at the same time, I mean, how did it feel? First of all, how did it feel to play real life, in person Star Wars cards again?
Um, it was so good to be in person again. Just seeing everybody. The Thursday night, I got in kind of late. Justin gave me a ride from the airport. Thanks, Justin. And I walked into like the bar area, and there was Chris Wirfs and Kevin Shannon and Jan and Clay and just like a
Yeah.
whole group of awesome guys. And we just started playing games and hanging out and talking. Like just amazing to see everybody after a year and a half of not. It was great to catch up and get to hang out. The playing the cards in person, it felt awkward a little bit, like the cards were like flipping all over and like you're dropping them on the floor as you're shuffling, and it just it started to get it more into a rhythm, but it definitely takes some adjustments from online and in person. The whole like, all right, I'm how
Mm-hmm.
much power, and then what are all the little tweaks, and okay,
Yeah.
I'm 25. Now let's count yours, and then wait, what did I say was mine was? Did I say 23 or 25? Let's count it again. Like
What about
I
you?
like having it automatically totaled.
Yeah. How about you, Justin? How did it feel to play in person Star Wars cards again?
Um, I thought it was great. I really liked getting to just kind of like smooth over a lot of the stuff that, especially in the early part of the game, like takes kind of a while on GAN.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, Joe, you and I both played Bring It before me. Getting to do the oh, there's my Emperor, and also I'll pull my Blockade Flagship Bridge, and also like getting to do all those things all in one action was kind of
Yeah.
nice, smoothing things along. I actually my repeated like have to recount it all the time was activation, just like having to go down the line of all the
Yep.
look. It's like counting everything, and it's like, oh crap, your watch just slipped. So hang on, I got to start over. Let's get 1 2 instead of 2 4 6. So yeah, that I felt like that took up a lot more time than I kind of thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was great. I'd gotten in a couple of live games with some of the local Colorado guys right before the event, um, but we hadn't played like a live tournament or anything like that. So um, I thought actually the team tournament was kind of a good like um, not icebreaker, but like
Warm up.
yeah, warm up for
Mm-hmm.
for playing the regular event, and like getting me used to, oh yeah, this is how my deck, like this is how it works in real life. So um, yeah, I don't know, it was great, and getting to see everyone was awesome. Um, this was like the first big gathering of people that I'd been to, even though Colorado's like been doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first big gathering of people that I've been to since Endor, I guess, actually. So, yeah,
Wow.
since a good then. So
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You said it. Like seeing the people was probably the best part of it. Again, I played in the team tournament. First of all, playing Justin Design the first game of real person Star Wars is nerve wracking. Like
Bad luck.
yeah, I had to go up against Desai. While I got my teammate. Yeah, I'll flash a shirt, Bat Mouse, just for you. he got to play Sperling, so that was interesting. But yeah, having to play against Desai, oof, it was a little nerve wracking. But I mean, it was fun because I know you guys played Bring It before me. Justin had the insignificant rebellion on the table right in the middle. Anytime I lost, he just goes stack a card. Having to stack like that was kind of funny, but at the same time, kind of felt bad.
What's the thing that he was is the thing that he was saying in our team prep is like the thing I'm going to forget the most is to make him stack on insignificant rebellion. So he's going to put it right in the middle and make sure he didn't miss it.
Okay.
I hope I never missed it. Now I'm thinking back, I'm like,
oh god,
I definitely missed it once.
So speaking of decks, like Justin, you said it before that you and Joe both played Bring Up Before Me. What did you guys play for light side, and what made you guys pick those particular decks? We'll start with Joe.
For light side, I played No Idea. I played it both days actually. I think light side is weaker right now. I don't think there are any really good light side mains platforms, and as far as more scrub platforms, Old Allies was really popular, but I liked No Idea. It is less vulnerable to map, though map wasn't super on my radar. But I think it's solid. It grinds. It has very similar idea. It's almost like a light side ISB to me, in that where ISB tries to lock out your damage and then like retrieve with their objective and drain. No Idea is fairly similar in that, like, I want to set up Men of Spades. I have 2 projection of a Skywalker. Like, if you go to my beach, I'm just going to projection it and go to the vault. I'm just going to do little ping drain in space, ping drain at the vault, ping with Stardust. I'm going to retrieve one with Luke Skywalker, and I'm just going to grind you down. And it's a pretty boring deck, but it's solid and effective at what it does.
Man, you're making Connor Britton just cry a little with that statement, Joe.
But it's at least it's effective, it's good, and it can, if someone doesn't know what to expect, it can put out a lot of power at the beach and get a beat down or whatever. But I think by now everyone knows that No Idea can put out 30 plus power at the beach quite easily, and knows to either stack hard or avoid it.
And Justin, what'd you go for the light side?
I played Bring Him Before Me and Old Allies. Those are kind of the decks that Justin Desai and I and Matt Sperling have been working on for a little while, so we felt pretty comfortable with them. And yeah, Bring Him I think is still really good. Even with people preparing for it, I think it's still a strong deck. And it was kind of the same thing with Old Allies. Like, I felt like we had good lists and good plans. It didn't quite work out for us in the event. I mean, I don't know. I guess Justin and Matt were both in 9th and 10th. So
yeah, that was impressive for Sperling right off the bat. Like, this is his first in-person Star Wars event ever, and I mean, I know he's dabbled a little bit and he teamed with Justin Desai for this event, but coming in 10th, especially with a field of like 47 and a lot of good players, that's really impressive.
It is. I split games with him. He beat me on day one. He was a very strong player.
And I want to say he played like an interesting set your course for Alderaan that had a homing beacon and a tractor beam in it.
Couple tractor beams, yeah.
Or 2 tractor beams. That was interesting, and I'm actually curious to play it myself. But so, what made you guys go with Bring Him Before Me specifically? Like, I know you guys were saying that Dark Side is stronger than Light Side, or Light Side is weaker, but both of you played Bring Him Before Me. Was Bring Him Before Me the right choice?
I feel pretty good about the choice of Bring Him Before Me. Even though my teammate went 4-0 with his Dark Side Set Your Course Beams deck, and in like our post-mortem, I was like, I kind of wish I could play Matt. I played Matt's deck because Matt's deck seemed fun and really good. But no, I think Bring It Before Me was a good choice. It's really powerful. It certainly puts a lot of pressure on the main stacks, which is a big contributing factor to why the main stacks underperformed, I think. But it also had the quality of being very good against a lot of the dual theater decks. Away probably the least so, because Away can shut down your destiny, but like Watch Your Step relies very heavily on putting Luke to the ground, so it's hard for them to fight Bring It Before Me on the ground. all of our test games against Diplo went really great, so it was similarly good there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Bring It Before Me was a good choice. So
Joe, how did you do? Because I mean, you made the
I,
top 8, but so how
yeah,
did you do with this Brigham?
I went 3-1 with both sides. The reason why I chose Brigham, and like I said, I think Light's weaker, Dark stronger. So I had a lot of good dark side. Tigatawat and ISB and Brigham, and there was a few others. Shadow Collective strong, and even Hunt Down's decent. The reason why I went with Brigham over, say, ISB is it's just fun. Like, I enjoy it's an aggressive deck where you get Emperor down and then you go and you attack with Vader and you attack with Maul, and Lord Maul is really good in space because he adds +1 to each destiny. So just even him on the Infiltrator, you draw 5/5 and he adds 1 to each, and suddenly your power 16, and so it's 17 if you've got Simalu out, and it's a really fun aggressive deck. You get out first strike and you go fight them, and I enjoyed that a lot more than I did grinding with ISB, and so that's why I ended up on Brigham. It's a strong deck, but it's also I find it pretty fun to play.
So, being that you guys played a dark side that revolves around battling, I know I forget who said it. Maybe it was Hayes, but you don't win games of Star Wars card by battling. Would you say that is still true, or are we seeing like the meta now shifting to you want to go down and fight against your opponent?
I think that statement, obviously every blanket statement that's an absolute has exceptions and caveats, and Brigham as a deck where you do need to go fight them. But in general, I think Star Wars, the current meta and over the last 20 years has trended more towards grindy decks. We've been in a stack meta for at least several years now where you're not looking to battle, where ISB is like, I'm going to, pile my walkers and pile my Star Destroyers and try and out-damage you. The no idea, the way I was describing it earlier, is I'm going to get out my stack of guys at the beach. I'm going to put my projections out. I'm going to put my Mana Spades out. I'm going to get Loop Retrieving one. I don't want to battle you. And so Brigham is an exception to that, and there are some decks that are exceptions. But in general, even a lot of times if you play something like a Let the Wookiee Win Chief Chirpa's Hut that can battle, a lot of times you're like, I'm just going to go to the battle planes and out damage you, So yeah. In general, I think battling is not the most common way to be at the top tables anymore.
And that's fair. So, Justin, what about you? What do you think of like that statement that you don't want to go down and battle? You want to have like a more of a mitigating damage type of a deck or a grindy type of a deck?
I think I would agree with that. I mean, the top performing decks kind of largely played out that way. I think the biggest common thread is that a lot of those decks can certainly win the battles if they get into them, but their ideal platonic situation is not necessarily to lean in that direction. I guess Brigham probably being the main exception. Although Brigham Before Me can actually win games where it's not battling that much, through the dueling and doing a lot of drain damage and things like that. But I mean, I guess this is kind of a half-baked thought, but the fact that it was almost no scum and no scum that did very well probably kind of signifies that, because court isn't going to win unless it's battling. So, and I think the fact that there was only one court deck and it, I think, went 1-3, if I remember reading the thing correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, for a number of reasons, but kind of encapsulates a little bit of what you're saying there with the no battling thing.
Yeah. So let's talk about the day 2 really quick, Joe. So I know you did a tournament report, a visual tournament report, which is really good on you. The fact that you did it one Monday, like that was impressive. So, but let's go over like some of the matches that you had with in day 2. So to start off, you played against Matt Lutz, who, funny enough, came on last week, and apparently I'm good luck. Like, Matt came on as the guest and made top 8, so. But, yeah, you start off against that, you're playing No Idea, and this deal's getting worse all the time. So, first of all, what made you pick that deck over the bring in before me for day 2?
I generally like switching decks. I would have switched light too if I had other options. I almost never play the same decks 2 days in a row. And I almost went with ISB, but I figured it would be pretty heavily countered in the meta. And I had Tigidawat, or my team had Tigidawat built at least. Cal played it the day before. And I had been practicing it. I had been up till 2 weeks before the event planning on that being my dark side deck. And then I felt like the field was all just playing 2 free ride combos, and it wasn't worth just walking into people teching for it. And so I scrapped it. And then I realized like it was barely in the field at all, and no one's going to be teching for it for day 3. So I decided to roll with it. And I added in a third occupation in case they did have extra free ride combos, and I had 2 grabbers for the Redoom combo. But my game against Matt, game 1, he was playing his like Peaceful Prophet version. Day 1 he had a more regular Prophet, and day 2 he did his like Peaceful Prophet that never wants to battle. It just uses fire extinguishers and tricks to not battle at all and do a bunch of little pings.
Such a fun little deck.
Yeah, and that, like, not to get into a too long description of it, just the very short, condensed one-sentence version is I played very aggressive, and he did not. He played very conservative. And so then I won that one by 16.
And then I want to say in game 2, it was a narrow window for you. Was this correct?
It was. Game 2, I was no idea, and I played Bright Hope to the system and piled my beach on my second turn, and then he came down with Zuckuss and Midsummer and Forlom and just cleared Bright Hope and a bunch of overflow, and then he was draining 3 all game, and I wasn't. And I was putting him on having no space, and I was going to reinforce it anyway, but I figured that one turn I would be okay, and it turned out he added in 1 ship in his deck that morning, and he got that opening hand, and so then it was just me trying to grind him down, and I got him down to exactly 15 after winning game 1 by 16. So I squeaked out the match.
What did he play for day 2?
It was Shadow Collective.
Shadow Collective. Okay,
Shadow Collective, yeah. So I was thinking he had no space, and he had added in 1 Zuckuss and Mist Hunter that morning, and he got that and Forlom out on me, and it was a rough game, but I was able to I was paying 3 to drain 1 at the vault and paying to drain at the beach, and eating a lot of damage, but just got him down enough.
And then for the semifinals, you faced Mike Kessling, who is the leader essentially of Team 9 Million. You played that game on stream, and I want to say that was an interesting game just by watching it while running the consolation event. Which, by the way, Justin finished second in the consolation event.
Nice.
But we'll talk about Justin in a few. So let's go talk about your match really quick with Kessling.
Sure. With Kessling, I was playing the Tigidawat, and he had Old Allies, and he flew up the Falcon turn 1, and I set up my occupation. And then his turn 2, he activated both his Jakku Battlegrounds, so he couldn't flip that turn. So he decided to fly the Falcon over to block my drain there. And then the game just went crazy from there. It went off the normal script. He ended up landing the Falcon to block my 2/2 drain, and then we were just positioning all around. But since he was sort of off his game, I was able to get in a lot of damage, and I eventually got Blizzard 2 with Fears over in front of him on Jakku, and was able to win that one. He got me down a lot more than I thought. I thought I was going to win it by upper teens, and he got me down to 13.
Okay.
But then the second game, it was just no idea versus ISB, and it was already a good matchup for me. I had beaten Kevin's ISB the day before, and I was expecting a lot of ISB, so I added in a second Lieutenant Blount. So, which he's fine in no idea anyway, because worst case, he's a deploy 1, forfeit 6 scrub, forfeit 6 with Insurrection. That he's just sort of a random guy. Like in Throne Room, if you're adding in 2 Blounts, it's like total dead cards. But in no idea, it's like, he's a scrub anyway, going down to the beach that gets power with the Stardust, whatever. So, but then I did run into ISB and was able to find him quickly, having 2 copies, and that Mike tried to put up a fight at Coruscant, but the Sand card won out, and I was able to get him down enough to advance there.
And then in the finals again, Hayes Hunter, who is a teammate of yours, also progressed to the finals, and then you guys he conceded to you, did a little splits and everything, and you won your third.
It did.
So where does this rank on your now ever growing career? Like this
Yeah,
major?
I think this was the last major I hadn't won because I've won an NPC and I've won Worlds and I've won the San Diego Grand Prix. I guess I haven't won the indoor since they moved the Grand Prix from San Diego. I have won a Grand Prix, but it was in San Diego, not up in indoor yet. I haven't won that, but I hadn't won a Continentals.
Yeah, we've only had
second,
like what, 2 Continentals?
Yeah, well, I would count that as the same as like the Nationals. I did win a Western Mass, I think, but I got second a couple years ago to Greg Shaw in 2019, the John Anderson Memorial tournament. But so it was nice to win this one, complete the sort of Grand Prix, career Grand Prix type thing, or Grand Slam or whatever they call it in sports, where you get all the different types of titles.
I want to say you're one of the few people who actually can say that. Kevin Shannon obviously can say it. He's won.
I was looking today. There's a thread that Gogolin has. It's like major event winners since 2006.
Yeah.
Kevin Shannon has 12 major wins. The next closest is 6. He has double. It's like Desai maybe, or it's not Desai. Desai and me are tied at 5. A couple people have 6, like Emil or Bastion or something. Whatever it is, like there's like 2 people who have 6. Me and Desai have 5, and then like Baroni and someone has 4, whatever. But like Shannon has 12. He has double the next closest person. So
and he took off 6 years.
Yeah, and he took off 6 of those years. And now that he is back, and obviously in his first tournament back, where he didn't know what map did.
No.
Like against no idea. He was like picking up. He was like, just tell me what the cards do as you deploy them. Like he doesn't know. He didn't know any of the text, and he still top 8'd. Went 6-2 day 1. Like he's going to be a huge threat at Worlds, which is awesome. So glad to have him back, and glad to see him just start crushing it immediately.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I'm just, it's incredible to see that you have won 3 majors. You've won a major in Washington, you've won a major in Colorado, and now you won a major in Mexico. So yeah, just
nice.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, nice to also win one in person again instead of just online. Like getting to actually like move the cards around and not where nothing's highlighted and seeing that it's still all clicking is nice too.
And you know what? I mean, considering that the last time you played in person, you didn't make the top 8 because some co-host that shall remain nameless knocked you out in the last game.
He did.
I can imagine, like, being that this is again the first one back in almost a year and a half now. It feels kind of good.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting though. Like the top 8 were all very strong. Like you look at Charlie, and everyone was saying coming into this event, Charlie's going to do really well because he went 12-0 in the OCS last month, and the month before he went 11-1. So he was, 23-1 in the last 2 months OCS, and you know what? He went 7-1 day 1. Like,
I'm going to say he went 7-1.
7-0, right? He didn't see his luck, but he was gonna lose that game. He had Old Allies versus Dennis's map. That's such an uphill battle that he would have lost that one. But anyway, regardless, 7-0 and a concede. It is interesting, cool to see that like CRG has been killing it online for the last couple years, and now he went and top 8'd. For there was a couple years ago, I don't think anyone said it in a long time, but a couple years ago there was like GIMP Star Wars is not real Star Wars and it's so different and stuff. But then to see the people who are killing it online like Charlie and CRG come and do well in person too shows that like it really is crossing over.
It is. It really is. So Justin, let's hear about like your day. So again, you played Bring It Before Me and Old Allies. How did you feel going into with the Old Allies, especially?
I mean, I felt pretty good about our tournament preparation. I felt pretty good about where our decks landed. I think in the end, we underestimated how much people were watching Desai's games when he was testing. So that didn't help us. That hurt us a little more than we expected it would, I think. So we ran into kind of a lot of very prepared opponents,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I mean, one of the things that we were talking about in our kind of post-mortem team dinner was we kind of realized it's like you really need to like playing the tier 0 deck, if you will, is kind of not great unless it's like head and shoulders above the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's like I wasn't even playing for this one, so I can't really say for sure. But like the worlds that was dominated by Agents of the Black Sun, like unless it's a deck that's like that far above,
Yeah.
um, going in with a target on your back is kind of asking for trouble, which is kind of ultimately how things played out for us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like uh, Justin and Sperling and I all kind of ran into matchups where there was a little bit of like we were like it was very very close, and if like the tech cards had fallen a little differently for us, it might have gone differently. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so so yeah, the I mean the day one was kind of disappointing for me. I mean kind of disappointing for the whole team, even though two of them were ninth and 10th, so right on the bubble there. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. There's not I guess not a whole lot more to say about the day one thing. Um,
And then in the constellation, what do you end up running in the constellation? Because I want to say you went 5-1 in the constellation. Is this true?
Uh, 5-1 with an asterisk.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So, getting a buy at 4-1's awesome. Um,
Well, you could thank somebody. He's in the chat right now. So if you want to say thank you specifically to that person, go right ahead.
I appreciate you scheduling your flight for Sunday afternoon. That worked out great for me. So that was excellent. Especially,
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately because you got delayed, but also because like I think as you said you were still in the security line, but when the tournament ended, so like you probably could have made it anyway. Um, but yeah, no, I appreciate that. It worked out great for me. But yeah, I had decided I like OA. I find a very tiring deck to play, so I didn't want to run it back. And we were kicking around ideas about what decks we thought might be good or might
Mm-hmm.
might be kind of edges on the metagame. And so I said, Matt, Sperling's Beams deck was great.
Yeah.
So I decided to play that, and and so we just decided that my opponents were not going to have any fun. So I played Space Weapons in Watcher in Yavin 4-Ops. I played Yavin 4-Ops on light side
Wow.
and set your Quick Tractor Beams on dark side.
That's insane.
So um, yeah, I feel a little bad because I played a poly in round 1 and 2, and in round 1, Gavin 4-Ops just completely outmatches ISB, and then in round 2, I used tie guns to shoot down the Falcon out of Diplo on turn 2 and destroy. And so
Wow.
it was like the two Onyx ties against an empty Tantive in the middle of the battle phase, and that was the end of the game on turn 2. So yeah,
That's-
that it was definitely a very fun as a zero sum game kind of set of decks, um, but it worked out. So
yeah. Awesome.
When someone asked in the chat why there wasn't much scum, they were surprised to see that and was asking for thoughts on why. Um, I can just personally answer. I considered scum and dismissed it because I thought a lot of the field might be playing Let the Wookiee Win main Chief Chirpa's Hut, and while I don't think it's a strong deck, it's a pretty automatic deck. It's easy to build. Like it's the same old mains where you got 1-2 Flash, 1-2 Starry, you've got 5 Lukes, you've got Leia and EPP Obi, EPP Qui-Gon, or Resilience. It's just like the list is obvious. It's easy to play, and I thought a lot of the field would have it, even if it wasn't super strong. And it is very strong against Scum. And so I didn't want to run into a below average player who just beat me because of a deck matchup. So that's why I didn't play Scum.
yeah, and in our testing with the OA, we found that Beaumont can, on top of all the errata that happened to Scum, really change the dynamics of the OA versus Scum matchup. Like Court was a very hard matchup for OA, and I don't think it's the easiest one. Like if you knew that everyone was going to play Court, you probably wouldn't play OA.
Yeah.
But in the open field, Beaumont Kin just made it really hard for them to drop a stack on you at the system like they usually would.
Yeah.
or that they used to be able to, because their leader's not free anymore with the space cruiser, and their smuggler pull costs of force and all this other things.
And you
So
don't add the light side icon to Jakku, so it's no longer a Drain of 3, it's a Drain of 2 now. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of reasons why Scum took a really big hit in this.
yeah, we had some games against we had some testing games against Scum where Awake could actually win just by landing the Falcon and giving up the system and staying flipped until you had
Yeah.
your space stuff assembled, and then you would go back up to the system. Um, but yeah, like that matchup changing in such a way that Court didn't seem like a huge, like an overwhelming favorite anymore was another knock against it. On top of the main
Mm-hmm.
stuff that Joe was talking about too, because we saw those main stacks also, and it was also that's also was like, yeah, I don't want to be Scum trying to play against let the Wiki win mains most of the time. So
Awesome. So again, congrats on both your showings, guys. It was a great time this past weekend. I know we're going to talk a lot about nationals over the next couple of weeks on the show, so get ready for that, everybody. In the meantime, if you are looking for anything regarding with nationals, go ahead and check out the forums. I know, like I said, I know Joe posted up a tournament report. There's a really good thing on there. So,
And a
if,
couple people have written tournament reports. Ryan Searson
Yeah.
and who else did one?
Coffee Pass did.
Coffee Pass, I think CRG said he was
True.
working on one too. So I know we're gonna have we'll have all those links available to everybody. Again, everything's on the forums. So go ahead and check those out. In the meantime, we're still in the middle of the Jawwall Brawl, and no real surprises on who is number one right now. Joe, are you just gonna like dominate every event from now on?
No, I've been very fortunate to have a good run, but it will come to an end soon.
Okay. Drew Coffee Pass, he is currently still out there at 9-1, so you gotta watch out for him.
I think Joker King 6-0,
Joker
right?
King 6-0. Justin's 6-1, and I was 4-0 until what was it? Yesterday, when I took two of my first losses. So there is that. And then the next big event is Worlds coming in October 7th. Again, everything's going to be on the forums. We already have the link for the hotels. We already have the where the hotel is going to be. It's in Alexandria, Virginia, so it's right outside of DC. So we do have a schedule of the events thanks to Jared. So it looks like everything's going to start on Friday. So we have a throwback event coming up on that Friday morning, team tournament that evening, and then the main event on Saturday. So again, everything for Worlds starting in October 7th. So, and then what are you guys looking like you're going to go to Worlds?
I already got my ticket.
Nice. That's what I like to hear.
I'm currently talking a big talk. I haven't made my plans yet, but I haven't made my official bookings yet. But I've certainly been in my plans to go out probably like a day early, because I haven't been to DC in like 10 years, so I'd kind of like to.
Yeah, I'm my flight out Monday isn't till like 5 p.m. or something, so I'm planning on spending most of Monday going to see the Smithsonian and Air and Space Museum and sort of just bumming around the National Mall for 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Monday.
And I think a lot of us can attest to this. A lot of people have said that having that extra day off is really nice after a major, because we're all it's all exhausting. We've lost that like ability to stay up late and play games and everything. So
I'm a local. I didn't even have to travel, and I took Monday off, and still totally was worth it.
Yeah,
So.
I can imagine. Okay, so are you guys ready for some swing and a miss questions? I got 4 of them tonight. Okay. So our first swing and a miss question is: Map and Old Allies will be the most played decks in the August OCS. Start with our winner, Joe.
I don't think Old Allies is. I think it's too grindy for most people to like want to play that much.
Mm-hmm.
Maps maybe. Maps pretty strong. I haven't played a game with it yet since the errata still. I played one game against it. I played against Dennis game 1 of day 1.
Okay.
but I don't know. I'm curious to see how strong that is, and if a lot of people end up starting to play it. I'm gonna say myth though. I think Brigham people might pick up and play more, or
Okay.
ISB.
Yeah, I'm gonna say miss on the both of them. It's tough because I mean, like Joe was saying, there's a lot of good options on dark, and there's a lot of I mean, there's a lot of fun options on light side, even if they're not as good as the dark ones.
Okay.
So yeah, I kind of feel like
And Old
yeah,
Allies isn't that fun.
Hey, speak for
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I would say miss on this, although it might change if you're talking about what like might be the best performing
Mm-hmm.
decks. I could see it potentially being those two, but yeah, I would say miss on this.
So I'm gonna go with. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with a hit, and the reason is we've seen a lot of the players who top aided at this current event. They made it in some form of the OCS for the next month. I think CRG hasn't. Joe, I know you've made it. Hayes, I don't think has participated. Charlie has. Dennis hasn't, but he could. I think Dennis has the potential, and I think Map is one of those decks that will keep old allies in check. And but I
Yeah.
think we are going to see a lot of old allies. So I think it has. I think it's going to be these two decks are going to be the most played. I mean, who cares if Old Allies is a grindy deck? You said ISB, Joe. So an ISB is even more grindy than Old Allies.
True. It'd be weird for both of them to be top decks because one crushes the other one so badly that like
Yeah.
if people are seeing Map as popular, do they really want to load up Old Allies? Um,
Yeah, it's just also it depends on the time of the day too. Like I've noticed, like as it gets later out here in California, a lot of those East Coast players aren't playing those type of grindy decks. So I can load up Old Allies or Map or Old Allies and be fine. So okay, question number 2 for tonight. There will be no new erratas before set 16. We'll start with Justin.
I would say a hit on this. I don't see anything out of this tournament that like really demands an errata.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the like map kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. I mean, I know Joe was saying before the tournament that he didn't think map was necessarily a real deck. Like so, I think map still being successful. Um, kind of shows that the field's a little more open. I don't think, and I don't think anything out of the light side decks demands a change. I don't think anything was super oppressive. Yeah, I would actually say hit on this. I don't think there's anything that's screaming out for an errata. So yeah.
Joe?
I agree. I think they've just done so many rounds of erratas. I think we've had 4 of them in 2 years.
Yeah.
That they've got everything now. Like what else is there to errata? So I think whatever the next set has, and if something's busted in the next set, usually they don't issue immediate erratas. Even if people are like, oh, this is OMG, they let it ride for a tournament and then errata it after. So like last year's Worlds, Hitco and Hundown V, and was like, holy crap, these are ridiculous, and they were like, well, roll it. And so we did Worlds, and then they're like, all right, now we're errating. I think the same thing would happen if they do another set before Worlds. They wouldn't. They're very reluctant to release a card and immediately admit like, whoops, maybe that shouldn't have slipped through. And so I think there's nothing currently that's on the radar for errata, and I think there's nothing. I think they wouldn't act if there was something in the next set until after Worlds. So no erratas before Worlds. I think that's a hit.
Yeah, and I think it's not necessarily that there's anything that needs an errata. I think actually the meta is kind of in a weird, kind of a good spot. Like everybody says, oh, light side is weaker than dark side. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Both sides
Sorry.
have lots of options.
Exactly.
I think Dark's options are all stronger, or there's a lot of strong Dark options and a lot of decent light options, but they both have options.
And that's what I think it comes down to is it's not we're not seeing like, okay, play these 2 or 3 different decks and you'll be fine. It's like I don't think anybody had on their radar no idea, Joe. Like, I really don't think anybody had it on their radar for nationals. I think people were expecting like Watch Your Step, OA, and
Well,
let the
maybe.
let the Wookiee win mains. So, and the fact that you came out there with the no idea deck kind of shows that there are options. And same with Tadikawa, like the dark,
Paul Myers.
yeah, Paul
Dylan build.
Myers, Dylan build. Like, people were expecting it, but at the same time, nobody was teching for it. Everybody was like, "Bring him before me" is going to be the top option. Like, we saw Shadow Collective, we saw. Yeah, there was even there was court, but I mean it didn't do well. We saw a set your course map, set your course. Batmouse played his little goofy Batmouse deck that went 3-1. Like,
I think reading Ryan Sturson's tournament report makes me feel like there was a lot more Trevor Horn in the meta than there actually was.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was talking to Stubley about No Idea. I think it was before NPC, so there wasn't tournament prep for this event. But I was asking about what he thought of No Idea, and he told me at the time, was like, you should probably just play Watch Your Step. Like, I was like, so if even he thought No Idea was like probably behind these other scrub decks, and then
yeah,
Joe comes out and does great with it. It's like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things
yeah,
that can move around.
So, okay, on to question number 3. Even though Rescue the Princess V was not played during the main event, people will play it in the August OCS. So I don't think it was played in the main event, but it was played during the team event, and I want to say the Constellation, maybe?
There's 0 of it in the main event.
Yeah, I want to
Wow.
say.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong.
I think design hit really well on the flavor there, but yeah, it's not a. I think so. So to directly answer the question, will people play it in the OCS? I think that's a hit, just because the field of the OCS is 80 people instead of 47, and people can switch decks. They've got 6 light side games, and they're not locked into the same. Whereas with nationals, it's like, I want to pick my best deck and play really well. OCS, they're picking their strong decks, but they don't have to do the same one over and over. So I think we will see people play it, but I don't think we'll see it be super competitive.
Yeah, I was gonna say hit for kind of the same reasons. Like, I mean, one's like, there's a bunch of like, random Twix start decks that people play for 4 games or whatever in the OCS. So, like, yeah, will people like people played Rescue the Princess non-V in OCS? So, it's like, will people play Rescue the Princess V in OCS? Yes, definitely, that's a hit. How well will it do is another question.
Yeah.
I know our testing was skewed because we were so in on this Bring Him Before Me, but that Bring Him Before Me is tough for Rescue the Princess.
Yeah.
I did see Taco Bill play a game earlier, I think today or last night, against someone playing Brigham, and he got in a huge neighbor beatdown and actually was able to win against the Brigham because they didn't have their one Gick, and he overflowed him for like 30 or something.
That's impressive. I mean, I know Bill has gone on record in saying he has a Rescue the Princess that he likes a lot, and he's kind of hoping to play it at Worlds.
All right.
So I'm kind of interesting to see what he has.
Yeah,
planned.
I was hoping to see some cool builds of it at this event, but
yeah.
0 of it does surprise me a little bit. People like to play new stuff, so.
Yeah. Okay, and for our last question of the night, we're going to start with Joe. This is Joe's world, and he's just letting everybody play Star Wars CCG in it.
That's a myth. I think, like I said, Kevin Shannon's got double the majors of anyone else in the last 15 years, and Desai was, I think it was 12 for 12 on making day 8 since the reset until this past weekend.
Yeah.
Now he's 12 for 13. This was the first day 8 he's missed, which is not true of me. I've missed more day 8s than that. So I'm on certainly a very good run, and my team in general has just been killing it because we've all been working really well together, and so our team as a whole has had a run since early 2020, winning all the majors. But the level of competition just continues to rise, and it's certainly not going to last. There's a lot of good players.
First of all, you're being extremely humble, and I like
but
that.
I genuinely mean that. Like I've been very fortunate to have this good run, but it's true that like I think very highly of Desai as a player and a deck builder. I think very highly of Kevin Shannon. The fact that I've just won a few, like I think I'm playing very well. I think I give a lot of credit to my team for being on top of the meta, for designing and tweaking decks very well. But it's I genuinely I'm not just being humble for the sake of being humble. I genuinely think that the players out there are very, very good, and there's a growing list of them. Someone like Matt Lutt, someone like Charlie and Dennis, who are getting better. You can see them improve from tournament to tournament, from year to year. That, or someone like Joker King, who has just a few years back, you'd play Joker King and he'd be playing the exact same court deck that he always played, and he's really widened his range of decks that he can play, and he's playing at a really high level. There's a lot of examples like that, and so I do think it's a tough game with a lot of competition. So, and there's a lot of variance. I have won several recently, but I don't think that's sustainable at all.
Justin, I want your answer for this one.
How can this is a question about Joe? How can I answer this question?
You're the co-host. You volunteered to come on tonight.
But I didn't read the summary before I did that.
Whose fault is that?
No, I mean I think everything that Joe said is right. There's like, I mean, even if you just look at this event, right? There's a lot of people that missed the top 8 that you would easily see making a different top 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like Brian, Fred, and Chris Werfs were only a couple steps above me, and I was 4-4. Like, there's, yeah, I think the very top of the field is playing very, very well in our overall community.
Mm-hmm.
But the folks who were like a level below them are also playing very well. So it's a very like it is a very kind of open field and open competitive environment. So yes, and as Sonic mentions, this was also a tournament, where Bastion and Dylan aren't, and
Angelo and Emil, like there's
Silver Glen.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of.
Here's my thing though: how many people can say that have won 3 majors in a row?
I honestly don't know.
There you go. No, I don't think we've ever had a three-peat like this.
I bet we have. I bet Brian Hunter back in the day, people have gone on some good runs before.
Yes, but including Worlds, you got to think about it this way: the NPC, Worlds, which are the 2 big ones, and then Nationals.
I will say one thing that's definitely in Joe's favor on this is that Joe commits to traveling to a lot of stuff.
True.
And obviously that changed for the online majors. But
okay, you can't say that because the man was in Mexico for a week.
Sure. But I mean, my point is, like, you're bringing up like Justin Desai. Like this is the first tournament that I met Justin Desai, and I was traveling to a bunch of majors before.
He's been to as many majors as I have post reset.
That's true. Okay. But there's a lot of players that don't will travel to Worlds, and will travel to.
We lost Joe.
But not necessarily go to all of them. So.
He's working his way back.
Yeah.
But no, so I gotta ask, Justin, how did it feel to be a member of KTOD?
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm a member of KTOD. Testing with Justin Desai was an eye-opening experience.
Oh, I can imagine. Like,
he is so good at this game and at envisioning things and planning for things and coming up with ideas. Yeah, it was. I think even though the results didn't pan it out, I
Yeah.
feel like my game stepped up quite a lot just preparing with him.
Mhm.
Joe's trying so hard to
He
join the call again.
is.
It's not really working. Um,
Joe, can you hear us, Joe, or can you talk to us? I don't. We don't need to have you visual. I don't think he can
I,
hear us.
I'm on the Discord. He's not on the call. Like he keeps trying to click back into
Yeah,
the call, and keeps dropping. So
that's not good. Well, I mean, the nice thing is, so while we see if we can get Joe back really quickly, there is no deck building challenge for July. We'll be back next month. Being that we don't have an OCS as well as a little mistake by me, we decided to forego the deck building challenge for this month, and then we'll be back next month. Being that Joe, is not here. Oh wait. Being that Joe is back, it is time for your lore challenge, Mr. Olson.
Great. My Discord always cuts out after 40 minutes. I have no idea why.
Mine was doing the same thing, and then I don't know. Like it's weird. Are you
Anyway.
ready? Are you ready for your lore challenge?
I'm awful at lore. I've never gotten a single one of these. Let's do it.
Well, maybe you'll turn yourself around today. So I'm going to read the chat. I'm going to read the lore. Then you have the option: set or type of card.
Okay.
Justin, I will let you help him with this one. But you guys have to pick on. You guys have to decide together, set or lore.
All
I
right.
don't know that I'm actually going to be any help here. My first expansion was VSET 8, so
Had you really never played Star Wars in your life until
nope.
like
I think
wow, just a couple years ago?
like my brother and I had some cards in 2015, but I didn't own a Star Wars card until
What made
less
you
than 10 years
start?
ago. It was actually looking at it was like we were getting into Lord of the Rings because we found a site that sold wholesale like a booster box of Fellowship of the Ring for $20 or whatever. And they had Star Wars too, and I was like, oh, I kind of always wanted to play Star Wars. I remember seeing that in Scry magazine and stuff, and so we picked up some of that from there, and then
Oh, nice.
and yeah, here we are now.
Cool. Wow,
Okay.
good for you. You've made a lot of progress for not having ever played. Like, one of my big advantages in like Haze and stuff is we have so much legacy seat time with stuff from 20 years ago that like we don't have to play that much nowadays to just know the right lines of play. But it blows me away when new players do well, like you have, because there's just so much that you don't know. That's incredible. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we were like when we were testing Ralops for Nats, I was looking at them like, there's 4 weeks until Nationals. I don't have time to learn this deck. like we're laying out the game. I'm just like, I am baffled by all of the decisions that had to be made here. I don't have enough time to learn this. I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But because yeah, Desai and MHT were running circles around me because they have a lot of muscle memory with Rops, and I do not. So
Yeah.
Are you gentlemen ready?
Yes.
as ready as we're gonna be.
Your lore challenge is deal.
Female stormtrooper.
Deal.
It's just one word, the word deal?
Just the word deal. And it's in quotation with an exclamation point. Would you like the card
All right.
type or would you like the set? Literally, I literally just, all I do is I scroll up and down the list, and first card I click on.
It's going to be, I feel like it's going to be like maybe something with Watto, like in Tatooine, like you swindled me or something. Some kind of like.
Has to be a Watto line. So I would say of those two,
card type? You think?
Card type has to be more helpful.
Okay, we'll take card type.
It is an interrupt.
I don't think it's Watto's chance cube. It's something. And this is one time that Dan didn't accidentally post it in the Holotheatre thing. So
No, I don't. I'm done posting them. Because from now on, the co-host is going to get to help the guest star. I think everybody should know this. As long as you play episode 1.
Okay.
Actually,
I mean,
I'll give you one more hint. It's a lost interrupt.
Oh. Hmm. This is a guess, so this is not a final answer. Could it be either way you win?
Yeah. Either way you win or you swindled me. Which one has Watto like pointing at somebody?
You swindled me has him pointing at Qui-Gon. I'm just thinking like the way that the lines line up in the movie, either way you win would be the one right before deal. You swindled me is like the
Oh,
whole
yeah, yeah,
race.
yeah.
The whole
Okay, I
race
like that.
effort
Yeah, he says
was-
he's trying to convince him, and he says either way you win, and Watto's like,
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We'll go with that. With either way you win.
Is this your final answer, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Justin?
I don't have the slightest clue what this card does.
No, no.
Even. I just,
Is it your final answer?
oh yeah, it's Joe's game. It's Joe's world. I'm just living in it. So,
You're correct.
Nice. Well done.
what does this card do?
To loss interrupt Destiny 4. Opponent chooses. Opponent may activate up to 2 force, and you may activate up to 4, or opponent retrieves 1 force, and you retrieve 3.
I don't know why I did not know what that card did. Okay, cool.
It's a decent card in like episode
It's
1 seal.
interesting. Yeah.
So wow.
If code clearance didn't exist, it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise they just pick that and stack it, and they're just
Yeah.
like whatever.
Yeah, say I don't
Wow.
know much about the lore of the printed Star Wars cards, but I do know the lines from the movies, so that I can at least do that.
That is impressive. We've had 2 winners back to back. Last week was Batmouse. This week was Joe and Justin. I'm impressed.
Nice. That was all Justin. I wouldn't have got. I knew it was some kind of Watto card, but well done. Good teamwork.
Yeah, one day the lore challenge is just going to be Stormtrooper, and then we're in trouble. But
Are you though? I mean, you got to remember, like when the Advocates came on earlier this year, I gave them one that said leader. Technically, they got it, but I went easy on them because again, they're advocates. They need a lot of help.
I don't think Chris Kelly's actually in the chat for you to
No,
poke fun directly
no,
at.
he's not. It's never going to get old. It really isn't. But okay, everyone. That is all we have for this week. Again, like I said earlier, for the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about to some of the people from Nationals. I know Charlie Arlinson, who went 7-1, Mike Kessling, who made the top 4, and Dennis Reinhold, who also made the top 4. All have agreed to come onto the show, so we'll have them over the next course of the weeks. We had to have Joe on because again he's Mr. This is my world. You guys are just living in it. So until next week, I'm going to thank my co-host for the evening, Justin Miyashiro. I'm going to thank the guest star, the current 3 major winner in a row, the MPC Worlds and Nationals, Joe Olson. For coming on tonight, so I'm excited. I was glad I had to have you guys on, and it's going to be, again, stay tuned over the next few weeks. We'll have more Nationals coverage.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, everybody, and we'll see everybody next week with another new episode of Holotheatre. Until then, have a good night and enjoy your weekends.